gives you that confidence?
Because I don't know nobody that he fought. He's never knocked out nobody at the top. And I know he's going to say, oh, well, you're going to be the first one. Yeah, okay, sound good. We've heard this before. But he's never done this at the highest level. I've been at the highest level for 7, 8 years now.
With his punches and with his counters. And he can get out of dodge before you can come back. A guy who's defensively solid. Yeah, I know there's been questions about his chin. I understand all that. But there's no questions about his heart. And no questions about his talent when it's there. And I think it's going to be there. I think the styles might suit him. I think Norman, still the less experienced guy, but very, very explosive, very talented. I think he's going to go after Haney. I think it's going to give Haney a chance, style-wise, to be at his best, to be the old Haney. Not the Haney that went in there with Garcia, that never should have went in that way, being a seek and destroy guy. That's not him. It's going to be the Haney that counterpunches, the Haney that makes you reach, the Haney that, gets you to do what he wants you to do, the Haney that's elusive, the Haney that can give you angles. If it's that Haney, he wins the decision over Norman. Now listen, there's danger all night in this fight. There's danger for Norman to get to Haney. And I'll tell you this, if Norman hurts him the way Garcia did, the night's probably going to be over.
It's fight week. David Benavidez, Anthony Yard, card is going down. But the fight we talking about on this particular video is the fight between Devin the Dream Haney and Stormin Brian Norman Jr.
I need y'all to get the likes up, man. Get the likes up.
And this fight right here is probably the most talked about fight on this card, right? I think this fight is the most talked about fight. Well, it's the fight that's most intriguing. It's a fight that we really didn't see coming. Actually, a lot of these fights we didn't see coming, but this fight we really didn't see coming. Usually fights like this don't happen until somewhere down the line in the sport of boxing, right? Two guys like this usually circle around each other for X amount of time, hint at fighting each other someday, yada, yada, yada. And then they'll eventually fight sometime later on, or they may not fight at all. But in this case, for Devin Haney, he pressed Brian Norman Jr. for a fight, and here we are this week. It's going down. But Brian Norman Jr. asks a really good question in regards to Devin Haney. Check it out.
Why is he elite? Who has he fought that make him such an elite fighter? What stamped him in the game as this guy? We're going to go with Lomachenko. Okay. A lot of people say you lost that fight. How big was Lomachenko? He's really a natural 130-pounder. He was actually kind of older at the time. Jorge Linares, I believe he was old as well when he fought him. They were trying to paint him as a power puncher when he's really just a combination speed fighter.
Got hurt in that fight as well.
And he got hurt in that fight. So who has he fought to stamp him in the game as this such elite level fighter?
Prograis. I'm just listing names, by the way.
Next question.
And Brian Norman Jr. asks, what makes Devin Haney an elite fighter? What makes him so great, right? He brought up the opponents, Lomachenko, Rougarou. He had no comment about Rougarou. But he did bring up Lomachenko. Lomachenko is a smaller guy. And this is something that I always say about Lomachenko. And I always think Lomachenko is just a badass dude. Because the fact that he was fighting at lightweight for that long, he's really like a 130-pound fighter, right? Lomachenko never really was a 135-pounder, in my opinion. He never really was. He was a overblown featherweight fighter that was able to compete at 135 pounds. Not to take nothing away from Devin Haney, I thought Devin Haney did enough in that fight to get the victory, but it's very debatable. I was never one to argue that fight with anybody because these are two of my favorite guys, so I didn't want to argue with it, but a lot of people feel some type of way still that Devin Haney got that decision over Vasily Lomachenko. But what makes Devin Haney an elite fighter? Usually when we look at elite fighters, we say things like, man, he got an excellent jab, he got an excellent punch selection, he got excellent footwork, foot speed, punching power, IQ, things of that nature, right? But what makes Devin Haney an elite fighter? Because if you can't go off his opposition that he's fought, if you can't go off the fact that he's become one of the youngest undisputed champions in boxing in the 4-belt era, then what could you go off of, right? When you're looking at Devin Haney as a fighter, this is actually a really good question because I actually thought about it. Like, what makes him great? Does he have a good jab? Yes, he has a great jab. He has a really good jab. That's one of his best weapons. Do he have a big right hand? Nah, not necessarily. Does he have a high boxing IQ? Yeah, he does. But is it like it's one of those things to like, what does Devin Haney do to make him an elite fighter? I guess that's what he's been doing, right? What Devin Haney has been doing makes him an elite fighter. Fought the guys needed to put himself in position, doing what it needed to do to put himself in position, going over there to Australia to beat up Cambosos a couple of times. He fought Rougarou, right? You know, he fought the great Lomachenko for what it's worth. Yeah, he may have been an older, smaller guy, but whatever, right? Devin Haney did that. And he got through that, right? Jorge Linares, whatever you want to say about him, former champion. All these guys are former champions, by the way. It's not like these dudes were... either these guys were former champions or current champions when he fought them. So it's not like these guys were, guys that was way over the hill or things of that nature, right? And Devin Haney went in there and he gets the job done. No matter how he gets it done, right? But that is a really good question because when we look at certain guys, we look at, he got punch power, he got hella tenacity, he's a great brawler, he's a great boxer, he's a great fighter, right? But what does Devin Haney do that is great that makes him elite? That's a really good question. I guess that's something that we'll have to talk about. And I guess we'll really have an answer with this outcome, depending on how this fight plays out this Saturday, right? But I don't know. I think it's a really good fight. I think both guys are going to come in the best shape. I see Devin Haney looks like he's in phenomenal shape at 147 pounds. I do question if Devin Haney is going to have enough power to get Brian Stormy Norman's respect, right? Will Brian Norman be able to keep up if Devin Haney decides to use the boxing approach? Will Brian Stormy Norman Jr. be able to keep up with Devin Haney for the duration of 12 rounds? We're going to find out. I think a lot of questions will be answered about both fighters this Saturday. May the best man win, right? I really see this as a 50-50 fight. I do see this as more of a dangerous fight for Devin Haney than it is for Brian Norman Jr., simply because Brian Norman Jr. is a natural 47-pounder, maybe even 154 guy on some days, right? And Devin Haney, this is his first fight at the weight class. We've seen Devin Haney have a few, questionable moments, right? The Ryan Garcia fight, totally controversial. Ryan Garcia was cheating. And then, of course, his more recent fight against Jose Ramirez, he seemed very timid in that fight, right? He didn't really seem willing to engage as much as most people would have liked. So going to this fight with Storm and Brian Norman, Devin Haney got to show and prove, right? Devin Haney got to go out there and he got to go prove to the people that he still is who he say he is, right? This is a dangerous fight, right? And he deserves respect from taking a fight. Of course, on the surface, he's not going to get that initial respect from taking a fight. But depending on how this fight plays out, I think that's when Devin Haney will get his respect. But yeah, man, I don't know. What makes Devin Haney an elite fighter to you? Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.
How big of a profile booster will a victory against Devin Haney, and especially as you mentioned that you want to put him in the dirt, you want that vicious knockout. If you were to deliver that against Devin Haney, profile-wise, where does Brian Norman Jr. go?
There is no such thing as if. I am going to do that. But he's saying, like, what does this put me after this? I mean, the world is mine. It's as simple as that. And now it's time to go and push what I want to push. I want to push realness in the game, and not just in the boxing game, but in the world as a whole. I want to show to everybody that they are able. When you first picked up this camera, you first picked up this mic, was you as good as you are?
Certainly not.
Exactly. But guess what you did? You kept going. Wow. I'm pretty sure when you first started, you wasn't interviewing top guys or something like that, but you had to work your way up the system. That's called being hard-headed. And guess what? That is such a good thing. A lot of people look at it like a bad thing, but embrace it. Embrace the fact that everybody's saying you can't do it. Oh, you gonna pick it, man? Watch out, man. You just gonna pick up a camera and think people gonna come and want to talk to you? Yeah, yes I do. And guess what? Look at where you at right now. So I want to show everybody, now you are able. Go out there, just put the work in. Believe in yourself. Trust that God is within you. What does God do? He created. You created all of this. You get what I'm saying? So you are able. I want everybody to realize that. Y'all are able, just as me.